is up, guys? Bobby here, not breakfast time, and we are not in the kitchen. But I want to talk about the adventure that is becoming Dadbod Prime and what that exactly means. So that is my new self-induced goal, because I will call it self-induced because it's probably going to bring some negativity to my life. Because unfortunately, whenever I have a goal, they are nothing but extreme. Point being, I have a series of sub goals that I've talked about beforehand that I want to do, physical activities. I want to do things like deadlifting, potentially deadlifting 1,000 pounds with a belt and straps. I want to deadlift 900 pounds without a belt. I want to be able to hike 3 miles in, hit a conditioning circuit, hike 3 miles out in the same day. Trail still dependent. These are just classifications of things that I want to do. Now, first things first, I have to figure out is how I'm going to get there, because I know that the body I currently have isn't the body that'll do the job, but we're getting there. And that had me thinking, what were these most important movements going to be for this process? And I realized that there couldn't be anything incredibly sport specific other than deadlifting, because it's not a sport. So I needed things that I had a wide variability, kind of wide scale variability options is what I needed. So I picked out these movements. First one's going to be kettlebell swings. Now, I know science has already gone ahead and proven that kettlebell swings really aren't all that, they're great, but they're not all that great like we initially thought they potentially were in terms of like developing muscle. But they are a great way to get a lot of work in very quickly, or relatively quickly, or not so quickly, depending on what you're doing. But in my situation, I have always felt that navigating the kettlebell swing has helped out my core, especially the heavier swings where I have to redirect, stop, and then redirect force, versus just traveling all the way through the range of motion and then coming all the way back through. So for my lower back, for cardio, for my glutes, because there, realistically, there are better ways to work your glutes and to work your hamstrings. They're just definitely there. But for me and what I'm looking to do and accumulating the volume I want to match the steps that I want to take, kettlebell swings just work for me. So that's what I'm going to go with. And I think all dads could benefit from them, especially when it comes to their grip. That's one thing I've noticed with kettlebells, especially ones that don't have super ergonomically designed handles, is that they're hard to hold on to. And if you do 200 swings straight, your forearms are going to blow up a little bit. So there's a lot of Dadbot Prime muscles, big forearms, big traps that are going to come from those over time kettlebell swings. Leaving us with, or next, leading us on to, not leaving us with, there's still a few on here. Moving us on to deadlifts next. Now, no real special variation needed, I don't think. In my personal opinion, deadlifts from the floor would be optimal. Not always the best option, but optimal for if you were trying to become Dadbot Prime. Or however, that is my best Optimus Prime voice, by the way. That was pretty sad. So I'll just stick to this. I'll just stick to the lifting stuff. But deadlifts, full range motion would be preferred. Nothing deficit or extreme, but a proper conventional deadlift. I even think a proper sumo deadlift, if conventional wouldn't be an option for whatever reason, would be better than not. In particular, we're going to be looking at all the benefits that we have on the core. Your back's going to get bigger, your traps are going to get bigger, your ass is going to get bigger too, and your wife's going to thank you for that. Just in case you dads haven't noticed, but it's the majority of you that have a flat ass have a weak back. Flat ass, weak back. They tend to kind of go together, at least amongst men and amongst dads. The next one we're going to talk about, overhead pressing. No bench press, all overhead. You can bench a little bit, but I think overhead is going to give you more of that look and more of that dad strength you're looking for. Saying as boulder shoulders are never a bad thing, and I've always felt that my upper chest develops really well from strict pressing. Overhead pressing can be dumbbells, it can be a barbell. I would recommend you stay away from the odd objects to begin with. Stick with a barbell. It's pretty solid. You have a lot of variations involved. Not saying you can't bench, just saying going overhead is going to lead for more of that aesthetic development that you might be looking for through the entirety of the body. Leading us on to cleans. Now, cleans. This is a unique one, because I think there's a very apparent look to somebody who can do a power clean, a muscle clean, a axle clean and press, or an axle clean, which is a little bit different than a power clean. For those who don't know, it's an intercontinental clean. There's somebody who can do a heavy log clean, somebody who can clean a heavy circus dumbbell. You can look at somebody and you look at the musculature, the big forearms, the big traps. Sometimes they have small delts and big traps, big forearms, big traps, big legs, healthy glutes, and a strong, thick upper back. All come from being able to clean appropriately. Not to mention it is A barbell clean is actually a decent mobility indicator. Should you be able to do things, but also what it does is it maintains the ability to produce force quickly, and that's oftentimes where we see a lot of dad injuries, where you go to sprint across the yard and you pop a calf or pop a hamstring. It's because your body's no longer used to creating force quickly. Instead, it's used to doing it slowly, like more of a bodybuilding like fashion if you're not careful. So that is why these movements in particular, I've kind of grabbed them. The next one is going to be a squat. Everyone should be able to squat. Your life should not be a series of good mornings and deadlifts, and I feel like the moment you have your first kid, it becomes that. For most people. For me, not quite, but for most people, that's what I've noticed. If your kid can hit a full squat, you should be able to hit a full squat. And if your kid can't hit a full squat, you should be a good example and still manage to hit a full squat. Now, what does a squat mean? You have cyclist squats, you have kettlebell squats, you have barbell squats. We're not going to say Smith machine squats, but they're better than nothing. You have hack squats. You have overhead squats. You have any number. Just do some damn squats of some kind. Get the body used to supporting load and having to change elevation and then change direction with it. Like, if you look at the majority of exercises that we see athletes doing, that's usually what it's about. It's about changing elevation of body and changing direction while under load. If we continue to do that, and don't you dare say a bicep curl, something more aggressive than a bicep curl. Get out there and move, okay? The next one is going to be a carry. You got kids, you should be doing carries. Do a kid carry, sandbag carry, kettlebell carry, stone carry. I don't care. Just try and make it something kind of balanced, right? Pick it up and walk. And I'm not talking for 20 or 30 feet. I'm talking about 500 feet. How much can you carry for 500 feet? What happens then? Okay, and then we're going to move. Okay, and as far as carries go, that'll move us on to sandbags and to farmers. There's something else I want to point out. All of the things that I have mentioned here are going to make you really good at hugging. Now, that's kind of funny if you think about it, but men in particular, and especially dads who have hit that midlife crisis or are trying to jump on the I'm getting back in shape game, you see it right away. They start pressing and raising and curling and working all the muscles that would push things away from them, not to get all hippy-dippy with you, but do things that make you better at hugging and carrying your child. If you do that, then you're going to be healthier, then you're going to look better. Not to mention, when you get to a certain point in the dad bod and the dad is like, that's your persona and that's who you are, nobody expects abs. Abs are cool. I've got them. Love having them. But I would give my abs to keep my back. Big back, big traps, big calves. Your wife's going to appreciate the big ass, but that's a power status too. Just going to say it. You got the lady lumps, it's a power status. But all of these exercises I just listed are going to work on drawing you upright and back. And what I mean by that is the majority of them, even the overhead press versus bench press, overhead press is going to require more posterior chain stability than bench press will. So all the things I've selected are actually going to work on drawing your posture back and building the shoulders out versus building them forward, which is usually what we see most. I say that most men trying to get back in shape end up doing. They end up doing all these motions that are up or out. Seldom are they doing anything that's in or moving the whole body forward as once. So I guess along with the dirt, if you want to, becoming Dadbot Prime is going to be about being an athlete. The problem is I want to be an athlete at 300 pounds. It's going to be a good time, guys. Hopefully these make sense. Hopefully you took some away from them. I left it pretty vague on purpose because these movements, there's hundreds of variations you have for these movements, but these are the ones I've kind of condensed it down to. I'm going to go over it one more time. Kettlebell swings, deadlifts, overhead presses, cleans, squats, and carries. Get those knocked out into your weekly program, and you'll be on your road to becoming Dadbot Prime.